OK and the podcast serves as a vessel to bridge the gap between human isolation and connection. We are all going through something. However, what happens when we start sharing our stories? We will be able to connect, heal, and grow. Come with me and my guests on a journey that will uncover their OK and moment. I'm your host, Just Jess. Let's get started. Good morning, good evening, wherever you're listening to this podcast. I'm your host, Just Jess. Welcome to OK and the podcast, where we are bridging the gap between human isolation and connection. And this guest that I have on today, we met way back in the day, where mixed with jambalaya night and all the things, and it transpired into a JTLJ relationship. So I want to welcome my guest, Jessica. And Jessica, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jessica Bustos. I am from Oakland, California, more specifically Northside San Leandro. I'm an Aquarius, I'm a dog mom, and I like long walks on the beach.
Okay, now. What's your favorite beach to walk on? Because you've been to so many, girl.
Girl, I just came back from Jamaica.
Okay, so how was it?
Oh my God. So I've been a lot of places. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I think Jamaica is the best place I've ever been. Like, I'm always quick to be like, oh, let's go to Mexico. But like, no, like, I think I'm now replacing Mexico with Jamaica. Like, I don't know if I'm going to say it right, but like Negril, Jamaica, mm-hmm. Literally one of the most beautiful beaches, the absolute beautifulest sunset I've ever seen. And of course, like the camera does not capture it. So like I stopped trying to take pictures, but Jamaica, man, like me love.
Oh man. Wait, okay. Amazing. So how long is it to get there from you being in the Bay?
So we flew from San Francisco to Miami, and then Miami to Montego Bay. So we did it where we had a longer layover because we wanted to get out to like Little Havana and see around Miami. But there's no flights directly from the West Coast. You have to go to like Texas. All the flights from Montego Bay and Jamaica were either like middle, like Texas, or the East Coast. So we would have to fly like somewhere to transfer over.
Were you able to?
But for Miami, I think it was like a 2-hour layover. I mean, an hour and a half, 2-hour flight. Like it was pretty short.
Oh, that's
like,
not bad. That's not bad. That's one thing about being on that side of the country. And if you want to go to any island, it's less than 2-hour flights. I mean,
like a hop skip,
and then you're there in paradise. So,
throw a little shimmy in there,
right? Just a little. If y'all can see us, we're actually doing a shimmy right now, but that's okay. All right. So,
Lord,
were you? We're just gonna be super random. Were you able to see the aliens in the past 2.5 weeks?
No. Okay. So in Jamaica, because like you're in the middle of nowhere, absolutely nowhere. The stars in the skies were so beautiful. You would see like the main stars, then you could see the clusters. And then I was like talking, we befriended some of the locals, and I was like, hey, do you guys believe in aliens? And they were like, oh no, UFOs. But they would think that like things are living in the water. So I was like, so what's living in the water, guys, is aliens. So tell me what you've seen. But I haven't seen any aliens, but they're releasing it now on the news. Like, they look like the aliens from Men in Black. Like, come on now. They're there. I know you're listening, aliens. Like, come say what's up. Like,
their accuracy is so real when I'm seeing the images. And my alien self, like I watched the 2-hour press conference with the government and the 3 people that came forward. I was in there like it was a blockbuster film. I was sitting on the couch via YouTube, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much evidence out there. Okay, so what about this spaceship? What about this spaceship? And to know that later on down the line, Mexico was going to release these images, I'm like, NASA, what we doing? Are we doing anything?
I was like 10 years old in Mexico visiting my family every summer. I don't speak Spanish. I speak it much better now, but like me and my uncle, I don't know how, but we were having this like hour-long conversation about UFOs. Neither one of us really, I don't know how the universe made us connect and
Mhm.
communicate, but he was showing me pictures of UFOs he saw out in Guadalajara.
What?
This was like 10, I was very young, like middle school, and we were like somehow communicating, but like when you know, you know.
Yeah, that's true. There's a Netflix documentary that's coming out called Encounters, and how they set you up. It's all these different people that are talking, and then they're saying like all these different interactions that they're having and what messed them up when people didn't believe them, and now all of a sudden people want to believe them. So I'm curious how that's going to go now that all this information, this data, these visuals are out, to show us that we're not the only ones in the universe. Just say
For
allegedly,
sure.
allegedly, right?
And this is stuff that we've known, like you and me have known, we've talked about, I've other
Mm-hmm,
friends that I've talked to
mm-hmm.
about, but like I'm a government employee. Like, does the space cadets want to hire me to be like the government employee over alien behavior? I'd probably get fired because I'd sign
Uh-oh.
NDAs, be like, oh my God, Jess, like, this is what we talked about today. But no, it's just so cool. Like, but then also the conspiracy theorist in me is like, you're releasing aliens. What are you guys trying to cover up? Like, what are you trying to cover
Very
up in the
true.
news?
Very true. That's always when our focus is directed to something that's chaotic, there's always something happening in the background. And to the point of the locals of the waters of the aliens being in the ocean, in the water. I mean, I don't put that past them. I mean, I remember watching Abyss when I was probably 6 or 7. And if we can't discover, less than 10% of the ocean and we know more about space, what's to say we don't know what's down there? We don't, and I love the ocean. I love going to, I love it. But now I'm like, I'm not trying to go in the depths and see things that I'm not supposed to see. But then again, it's what if the aliens have been here all along? Don't know. Don't know. Um,
They have been. They're here. They're listening. Like maybe one day you will be able to bring on an alien for your guest
do you
or
think?
AI. I think at the Ram Stadium last weekend, there was AI
Oh,
people there or
yeah,
something. I saw
yeah.
it on TikTok. I didn't want to look too much into it because I didn't want to like fall into a spiral. But that's on my list of things to like research about these AIs in NFL stands for Raiders.
So
They're
it's
winning.
it's with John David Washington, ooh, Denzel's son, new movie called The Creator. And so they had the replicas that are in the movie at the stadium. And it's the same campaign, a similar campaign to they did with you remember the movie Smile? It came out recently. Did you watch that?
I didn't see it.
Oh, girl, this movie was crazy. But pretty much it was something along a curse that happen in different parts of the world or whatever. And if you see someone basically kill themselves and then they leave this smile, then the smile goes to you. And so literally in the stands they had people that just had these creepy joker smiles at the game, just
Oh,
it was so creepy. So I think that's where marketing's going, of pulling these very blah things into real life.
so I saw the smiles, but I didn't know what it like related to.
It was that movie. Creator looks good. I mean, futuristic, trying to save a child that's like a half robot or whatnot. And then I don't know. The trailers look like, oh goodness, I don't even know how to describe the trailers because I'm thinking I feel like it's a little bit of Golden Child mixed with AI technology, if you will. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Shout out to the aliens. If you're here, you're not here. But if you are, we're crazy, and I think you've been watching us for quite some time, so you already know that. So, be easy on us.
We believe.
Just be easy on us. But I do want to switch gears because I know you and I have had some very unique talks about afterlife and what does that look like, and having interactions with our loved ones, and just how do we translate that. So what has been your okay and moment when it comes to afterlife and your thoughts of afterlife?
So, afterlife is a very interesting subject to me. So, let's just go back the last 3 years since the beginning of the COVID. I've lost three pretty significant people to me.
Hmm.
First, it was like my old boss, which was unexpected. And then my cousin shortly passed after, which was also unexpected. But like the icing on the cake was in 2021 when I lost my brother.
Yeah.
So that like put a whole new perspective on life for me. I joke and say it made me a single mom of two 60-year-old children.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because now I've always been really close to my parents, but now it's just like a whole different relationship with them.
Yeah.
But it also has me like becoming like before these people passed, I would go see like spiritual mediums
Hmm.
and they would just tell me like about my spirit guides surrounding me. But now that I've lost these very significant people to me, like I've been more in tune with the psychic mediums, like going to the spiritual readers, trying to get messages from them, opening my eyes to the signals that these people that you lose are still very much present in your life,
Yeah.
which is crazy. Like sometimes I find myself saying like, yo, just leave me alone. I don't need you around right now.
Hmm.
But also just being very thankful. Like, yes, they're not there physically, but there's so many signs that we just have to be in tune with that they're very much present every single day. Um, One thing that I think is like super cool that makes like the afterlife transition easier is that my spiritual medium told me that my brother's sign is a quarter, like a 25-cent piece, silver quarter. Whenever you find a quarter, heads up, like that means your brother's there. I've
Really?
seen quarters like, yeah. So like we find quarters everywhere and it's so crazy. I think I've have like over $30 worth of quarters that I've just
Hmm.
like held on to in the past 2 years. I've seen quarters like fall out of nowhere.
Hmm.
I've seen quarters under my dog when so I have Smokey, which is
Yeah.
Tony's dog, and Smokey will be laying on the floor like shaking, like
Hmm.
not moving. We're like, come here, Smokes, and he'll get up and it's a quarter. Um, we just find quarters everywhere, which is like sometimes I'm like, okay, it's just that like relief, like I know you're here, but
Yeah.
then sometimes I'm like, bro, just leave me alone right now. Like I just need to do this by myself. So like
Right.
just seeing simple signs like that, like just finding a quarter somewhere like crazy. We were talking about Jamaica earlier. I
Hmm.
cleaned out my whole backpack. I'm in Jamaica packing my backpack. A quarter falls out. It wasn't there before I left Jamaica. Like, and what's the most curious part about it
Yeah.
is how is this real money? Like, where are you getting this money from? And how is it just randomly appearing? Like, it's real US dollars
Right.
or
Right.
US
Coins.
change.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like I think that's like what made me really like believe like they're here. Like you would see signs, you see butterflies, you see weird things happening, but
Hmm.
like quarters just appearing out of nowhere, like explain that to me. Like I've had them on my pillow next to my face. I've had them, I was putting air in my tire, like put the little nozzle in, pull
Yeah.
it out. There's a quarter right there. Like they just appear. So like that makes me know like they're for sure always here. I just you could talk to them, but please don't talk back. I might just be like, woof.
Yeah. Yeah. I
But you like, oh, go ahead.
No, 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 go ahead. Go ahead. You're good.
I was like, you can feel the afterlife here, and it always just makes you like wonder, like, what is the afterlife? Like now I'm wondering, like, what I'm more curious now, like what the day to day is in the afterlife. Like, what are you up there doing? Like, I know you're here back on Earth, but like, what are you doing? Like, do you have a job in your afterlife? Are you just doing all your hobbies now in your afterlife? Like, what is the afterlife?
Get ready with me afterlife. Like we need a 30-second breakdown of what goes on. I
Yeah.
it's a I talked to my mom about this, and sometimes I'm thinking, oh, because we have family from Louisiana, we have family from New Orleans, and there's a lot of spirituality that comes with it. But anytime there's
Mm-hmm.
a transition in my life, my grandparents come and visit me. So there's my now, but Grandma and Papa are still here, right? But Grandpa Garland and Grandma Garland come and visit me. And then my mom's mom, Grandma Shirley Smith, comes and visit me. And it's the weirdest thing because I'm dreaming. And then all of a sudden I'm back in one of the homes. So with Grandma and Grandpa Garland, I'm back in San Bernardino off of Pumalo Street, and I'm looking inside. Oh, I'm getting chills. I'm looking inside of the house, and they're looking back at me. Almost, that weird farmer picture with the farmer and
Mm-hmm.
his wife with the fork. That's what they're doing. They're looking back at me. And then recently, I was able to go into the home, and I'm sitting in the oh gosh, ooh, I'm sitting in the front room, basically, with the plastic on the sofa, the grandfather clock, the seashell lamp, and we're just sitting there, and no one is saying anything. They both died in the house. So Grandpa Garland was basically had colon cancer, and he died on hospice in the back room. And then Grandma Garland died in their bedroom, and we think that she mixed up her heart medicine. But check this out: before she died, she went on a tour. She went on a tour with all the siblings, and I remember her coming to visit us in Victorville, and she was like, "Otis is coming to get me." And we're like, "Why is she talking about Grandpa? Why is she talking about that Grandpa's going to come get her?" Right? And literally, after she visited all the siblings, maybe not even, I want to say maybe, because we were in college, so this was back in 2008. um 5 years later, after Grandpa Garland died, and a few months after she visited everybody, she passed. And so it's this, I go back to them like, why are y'all taking me back to this house? What's happening? With Grandma Shirley Smith, she takes me back to our home in San Bernardino, and we're in my bedroom, and that's where I found her when she had a stroke. She wasn't dead when I found her with a stroke. It was sixth grade, and I came home. She was staying with us because she moved to Louisiana, so she came and just visit us. Right? She was like
Mm-hmm.
cooking, sewing costumes, like doing the grandma stuff, right? I'm happy, I'm getting fed, great meals and all that. And so when I found her, she was laying on her side, and she was trying to speak. And so, sixth grade, I'm like, what the hell? So I pick her up and put her on the bed, and I call my mom, and I'm like, Mommy, grandma's words are slurring. Like, I don't know what's going on. And so I remember my grandpa Garland coming, and then my dad coming, and they just picked her up and put her in the back of the van. I'm like, am I seeing a dead body? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, like what is going
What is
on?
happening? And then they go and they take her to the hospital, and so she had a stroke, and she had a stroke. She was in a wheelchair, and then she passed right before. She passed, I think, on her birthday, August 31st, and that was maybe a week and a half after we started college. But those two incidences, they'll come and visit. They came and visit before I moved from California to Atlanta. They came and visit before I moved from Atlanta to California. And I don't know what it is about them coming to visit, but I always know now. Like, I at first I was scared, and you get all these backstories like, oh, if spirits are coming to visit you, that's not it. That, like, stay away from them, stay away from them. But to your point of spirit guides, I truly think that's those sets of grandparents are spirit guides to let me know it's going to be okay, or guide me to different things that maybe my mind is thinking this way, but they're trying to show me something. But they've never have said anything to me. But Grandma Shirley Smith smiles. She smiles at me.
And it smiles like a thousand words too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I definitely think there's negative spirits. I definitely think there's negative energies, but I also think that there's so many positive ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like people visit you in dreams. I dream about my brother like pretty frequently.
Mm-hmm.
I even dreamt about Leroy the other day. Leroy was in my dream, my dog that
Really?
we had to put down about a year ago. Like I woke up and I was like, Leroy. Like so I think there's so many signs. Like it's like you feel the energy in the room. Like sometimes I'll just be at home and I hear footsteps, or like I even hear motorcycle pull up, and I'm like,
Ooh.
oh, like so one day it was like I was home, it was pretty late, my dad was out on his motorcycle. I hear a motorcycle pull up, I hear this like door close, but nobody is walking in. So then I'm like, Dad, like,
Yeah.
you good? Nobody was home. There was no motorcycle. Smokey's just sitting on the couch wagging his tail. So feeling spirits inside my house is something that we have come used to, like never feeling like you're home alone, even when you're home alone.
Yeah.
And just like literally just feeling spirits around me like nonstop. Like it was a weird feeling to get used to. But now it's like, okay, like I know you're here, it's good. Like, and also it's crazy too, like my mom went and talked to the spirit guide. I found him on TikTok.
Mhm.
Super dope. Had liked his energy, so I booked with him. My brother told me that my mom needed to book with him. But what was cool is that what my mom found out is that her grandma came in her like 15 minute segment. My mom's grandma came to visit her first,
Okay.
and then my brother came shortly after. But my great grand never met her. She was like, "Yeah, I finally got to meet your child. Like I'm up here, I got to meet your kid."
Oh, wow.
So
Oh,
that was like
oh,
very monumental for my mom. Like she was just like,
yeah.
wow. So that gave me like, that's when I was just like, so what are we doing up there? Like, what are these people like how, like, do you get like, oh, so and so's here now in the afterlife? Like, if you
Right.
think you know them, pull up. Or like, so that's what is brings me a lot of curiosity. Like, so it's amazing that my brother got to connect with our great grandmother, which we didn't have the opportunity to do here.
Hmm.
So it just makes me really curious, like, how did they meet? Like like how does it work up there?
That's interesting that you say that because I was watching a I've been on documentaries, girl. I was watching a document, I think it's called The Afterlife. And there was this woman that was talking about her near death. Well, she was dead. She's a doctor. She was doing whitewater rafting and basically fell on a waterfall and drowned for like almost 20 minutes. And so
Oh
underneath
wow.
that, she went through a tunnel, and the tunnel had all like she saw different family members, and then she saw her body under the water and people were trying to get to her. It's like a really remote location and they couldn't get to her, so she's still going through the tunnel. She said that she felt so much peace, and people were, and there was somebody there to help her, and then they told her it's not her time yet, and then she went back and she was so mad because that's the most peace that she's ever felt. But I do believe that until resurrection or things that you believe in happen, I think our loved ones are in a waiting room. I don't think they are, because I don't think they're, I think they're in a waiting room. I think they are, and I think that
Mhm.
happens when our spirit guides connect with us, if we're having these very very strong energies, because they're, I feel like they're in a waiting room. I mean, we can go into more detail about that, but it's those moments where if you're still traveling, if you're still knowing, like you're still, that's your job. Your job is to, be in the spirit world, and then you're protecting your loved ones, you're giving your loved ones signs. Um, but there's so many different cultures that believe either something similar where there's like a slight tweak, or it's completely different. I think that's the beauty of talking about it, because I talked to my mom about it, and I know with New Orleans, there's very very high energy. Like when we went to New Orleans,
Mhm.
my body was not on fire, but it was just, you felt a presence. You felt, I felt like it was home, honestly. But I felt this energy that I haven't felt that type of energy since I've been to New York. But New York's energy is, it's high pace, it's high maintenance, it's all the different things. But when it comes to New Orleans, it was this, I don't want to say eerie, but it's a different type of presence when you are in New Orleans. And it's
Yes.
just weird. I mean, I mean, you've been
Yeah.
multiple times to go to
Those
New York,
oysters.
and oh man.
So what was cool, like talking about like the afterlife and New Orleans, my cousin that passed, he was from New Orleans. So we did a
Right,
celebration of life.
right.
The first time I went out to New Orleans was for like 2 days, because we went to my cousin's celebration of life,
Hmm.
and just seeing like it was at like a park. They had a barbecue, but like just seeing like the culture, and then like the marching band comes in at the end, and like
Yeah.
they're like, "Doo, doo, doo." Okay, that's so
Hmm.
offbeat, but like
You're good.
with the like the instruments, and like we have his picture on like a big 20 by 30, just like marching with them, like arms up with his picture. Like that was like the most amazing celebration of life I went to. Like you could just feel the energy. Like it wasn't like, let's sit here and be sad. Like, of course, we're all sad. Like no one really wanted to be there.
Sure.
But the energy of the band just coming in, and then that was like their way to tell us the party was over. But like everybody's in, like the marching band, we're all like, do, do, do. And then it was amazing.
My first interaction with a celebration of life in Louisiana. So my great, well, not my great grandmother, Grandma Shirley Smith used to live in Shreveport, Louisiana, and we went to this buffet. It was called Orion Buffet, and at the time, I think I had to be 12. My brother was 10, 11, maybe even younger than that. And so go to this buffet. I'm getting my food. I'm about to eat. And all of a sudden I hear the band playing. I'm like, what is going on? So I asked my grandmother, and she's like, oh, across the street's a cemetery. And in our mind, in our house, we were like, cemeteries are bad. Oh my gosh, it's scary. All these, uh, uh, zombies and like just all these different things from the movie. And then I saw, the graves are above water because of the sea level. So that was my first time seeing
Mm-hmm.
like how the tombs are made and stuff. And the band, to your point, it was just so beautiful. I'm like, that's what life is. You're celebrating, right? Like they're going on, but you are celebrating them. I think that's what I did for my biological dad. Like I wanted it to be a celebration, even though the way that he went out was wild, but it is a celebration of life. And it sucks because the funeral part is for the living. The birth is already gone. They're gone. So the
Mm-hmm.
part of going to a repast, or the part of going to, a funeral, that is truly for the living. And so it's just wild how different folks celebrate when it comes to the afterlife, for sure.
That's also like when I was planning my brother's celebration of life, we didn't want to do like the church. We had the priest come to the house
Mm-hmm.
to bless our ashes. We didn't want to do like the church ceremony, but I was like, let's go rent. It's the same park that we rent for everything. Like my graduation picnic was there. Like, let's go to the park. Let's just have like, let's all get together. Let's be casual.
Yeah.
Let's try to enjoy, like, let's enjoy each other's company, because like we need to celebrate. Like he had a very short, but he had a very amazing life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Tony, I remember the time that we went to Knott's Berry Farm. We had so much. I was scared as shit, but we had so much fun. It's just that energy, that lifeline of just being happy, down for whatever. Like, just it was, that was such a good time. Core memory unlocked for sure. But we could talk about this for hours, and I think we are going to talk about hours because now I want to do more research and I want to see, what else is out there because this is, I mean, a couple of when you think of unknown answers or questions, but then people have similar experiences, afterlife, anything dealing with death, anything dealing with, what you see, spirit guides. A lot of people have not only experiences with it, but giving them the space to talk about it. So I appreciate you coming on today.
I think another thing that's like really helped my family too is the Dia de los Muertos altar.
Yes,
Um,
tell us more. Yeah, I was going to ask you
we
about that too.
never really like, I'm Mexican. I see it everywhere. We never really did it in our household.
Mm-hmm.
But then when my brother passed, my mom's like, we need an altar. We need it right now. And I'm like, oh, okay. Um, but even before we did the altar, my coworker told me whenever somebody passes, you leave a cup of water out for them because they're going to get thirsty. And I was like, okay. We don't really drink water in my house, so I'm gonna put a shot of alcohol out.
Okay, okay.
So I put a shot of no, not Jack Daniels. Shit, what's it called? Jameson
Mm-hmm.
out, and put it next to my brother's picture with the candle. We light it every single day. The shot glass goes down like randomly. So I was like, oh, maybe it's just like the air absorbing it,
Science.
like
Yeah.
no one's coming to drink it. Then
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden mold started growing in it, like, like because you get backlash, I don't know. So I was like, maybe we have mold in our house. Like finding all these excuses is not like, oh, you're coming and drink it. But with the Dia de los Muertos altar, we put like all our loved ones on
Uh-huh.
and we put a shot out for each person.
Okay.
So what's crazy, this is when I was just like, whoa, buddy, was that the glasses go down at different paces. So like one day, like one person might take like their whole shot, like almost their whole shot,
Hmm.
and the other ones are just like sitting there. So I was like, okay, if it was absorbing, if it was like the atmosphere absorbing the liquid, they would all pretty much like one wouldn't be almost be gone and the others were there.
Right.
So like
Right.
that's what I cannot explain this, but like it's also like a good representation that like these people really are coming back to visit you. Like people I personally did know I'm still putting on my altar. Like my brother's was in a motorcycle club. So his club brothers are on our altar.
Hmm.
I've never met these people. My parents have never met these people. We're still honoring their life because they meant so much to my brother, and they're coming and drinking their shot glass. Like they come back and drink. I don't know how, but my coworker was like, "You need to put something out because they're going to get thirsty, and no one thinks about quenching their thirst."
So that's interesting. There was a lady from Louisiana, and she was talking about basically her get ready with me, and how she, nourishes her ancestors, and she put
Mm-hmm.
out water for them. She put out water, she cooked for them, and she did something else, and it was right like in her kitchen. And she was like, she does it every single day because they come and they're hungry and they're thirsty and all that. And I never thought about that because I'm like, do you have an appetite after life?
I'm wondering that
Are
too, because
you,
on I
you
think
know?
traditionally on the altar you're supposed to put like their favorite meal out. I've never done the favorite meal because I'm a freak out if like food is missing. I'll just stick with the shot glasses. But yeah, are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Like
Right.
how are you getting your nutrients? Do you worry
So
about calories in the afterlife?
what, yeah, I mean, and it's crazy, even growing up and like going into um, various Asian establishments. I remember just seeing, Buddha in the front, or like an apple or a pear, just like different things that were on their altar too. So I'm like, I wonder
Mhm.
if there's a connection there, um for offerings, or just, is it offerings, is it this is what I'm giving, like what is it? Because I mean, we don't have an altar, but now thinking back and seeing different, just different altars or different offerings, like what is that, and how do they know what to put there? So that's oh, that's so interesting. Okay, I'm definitely gonna have to do some research on that.
I know we need volume two, episode two.
Yes, we do. We absolutely do. So, Jacob, I think where I'm like, did you see? It was like, I do want us to pause here because I truly think it's an episode two in the making, and then looking at who we can bring on to see. Maybe it's a TikTok
Mm.
guy that you had. Um, Maybe that would be
He's
something that we can do.
he's based out of LA too. I think like
Really?
maybe not LA, like maybe like somewhere in SoCal.
Okay, we can definitely look at that because I think as we get older, more questions come up, and we may not, yeah, the answers are, there or not there, but I think it's that piece of comfort, and so how we navigate through the rest of our lives. My life or friend. So I appreciate your time, appreciate your energy, appreciate the conversation, because some people you just can't have the conversation with when it comes down to asking questions and thinking out loud about it. So I love you,
Love
everyone.
you too.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.